said, you're going to America. We say,
and the thing was, we did get to America. And chances when we got off the plane, you were arrested. Do you remember that in your passport confiscated? The most wanted, you have the same name as the most wanted man in America. I think he was just setting us up there, wasn't he?
What happened was, no, like, I remember the three of us walked up the stairs and I seen these two guys looking at us, and it was our first time in America. And we done exactly the same things we do. If somebody's looking at you, we say, how's it going, lads? That's only the no over the two boys. How's it going, lads? Next thing, back of the neck. They must have thought I was sending them up. But that night, no, after we got out, we were there for an hour and a half. They kept me passport and all of me. Where did we arrive? The Whiskey Go-Go, Los Angeles.
Right.
And who turned up?
John Bonham.
John Bonham,
Robert Plant. And they were very good to us, Brian, because we'd no money. Do you remember they took us back to their hotel, and they paid for a room for us to put us up.
That's right.
And I remember standing in the lift with John Bonham, and actually Ainsley Dunbar was visiting them at the time. And John Bonham says to me, Jesus, I wish I was half as good as Ainsley on the drums. And I says, hold on a minute, John. I wish I was half as good as you. You know, so that gave him a bit of a smile, you know. So everything was relative. He wanted to be as good as Ainsley, I wanted to be as good as him. Yeah. But a lovely man, John Bonham. Yeah. You know, it's a pity that it all ended up the way it did for him like that. Like such a phenomenal player who influenced so many people, but a gentleman. Yeah. Great guy.
We had a great night.
It was fantastic. I remember that the sun and the beautiful American girls, and I remember like I have great memories of going up to the dressing room after the gig and the black American cop sitting in the chair, you know.
That's right, yeah.
Hey, you guys, you ain't bad, yeah. Real nice guys. They were great.
Best of all time, no.
Like wonderful people.
Yeah,
and then I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, but I just have some great memories of like even that little trip to America, about the wonderful people we met. Like, do you remember we were stranded in Phoenix, Arizona?
That's right, yeah.
On the edge of the desert. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And this guy comes up to us and says, well...
He had a kindergarten.
Yeah. Lovely man. Took us home to his place. Yeah. Swimming pool. Yeah. He was an ex-tightrope walker, do you remember?
That's right. And he's wearing a white caftan.
That's right. And he gave us all these lovely robes to wear. Get out of them uncomfortable clothes, he says, and get into these. And, oh, fantastic. He put us up for a few days. Yeah. I remember opening the fridge door one morning, and I think it was his son said to me, there you go, there's some orange juice if you want that. And I couldn't believe it, because where we come from in Dublin, there was no such thing as orange juice. And he said you can have as much as you want.
Not that kind of orange juice.
Yeah.
Never seen nothing like it. No.
It was incredible the way they treated us, and we hadn't got a juice.
We'd no money. We met people every night now.
I remember I actually shed tears having to leave that house. I did. And you had a great time there in this room, Bill. Do you remember being elevated?
I love the pool now. Love the swimming. But we headed up to Canada that time. And we were topping the bill. We weren't topping the bill. Rod Stewart and the Faces. They never turned up. We topped the bill there. Then we played with Beck Bogart and the piece.
Do you remember that? Fantastic band too. They were in this wonderful pasture, wasn't it? Like, it was out in big fields, up in there, big fields.
We never seen that.
And it was like a community centre run by hippies, wasn't it? If I remember right. Yeah. Where they bred their own horses and grew their own food, and
that's right,
life was good then. It was like that sort of San Francisco sort of attitude carried on up into Canada. But then it's a pity what happened, all that, just heroin. Suddenly it was flooded with heroin. You couldn't get a bit of grass anywhere.
What am I saying? You know, well, no, remember we were doing we played in the East Town Theatre, I think it was called, in Detroit, with the Omnibus.
Yes.
And Nicky and the Stooges, we reckon Nicky couldn't play. He was jumping into the crowd, so the Allman Brothers and us, we were doing the playing.
Yeah, Butch Trucks. Yeah. And Johnny Joy Johansson, I think his name was, the other drummer. Yeah. Butch, and his son now was incredible guitar player. Has played with Clapton and all. Butch was a wonderful man. Gave me his address and he said, anytime you're in America, come up and see us. And very humble man too as well. The way he say, I just hold it down for Johnny. I just lay the grooves down, and Johnny does all the playing. Fantastic band, Dwayne Allman.
That was one of the great nights. Like playing with those guys, and then of course we arrived in the Fillmore West.
There you go.
It was on that.
Exactly. And the two singers with the turtles who were them at the time.
That's right, the Fluorescent Leach and Eddie.
That's it.
And the first band on was Ashton Gardner and Dyke.
That's right.
They did a with the Resurrection Show. Two fat ladies in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Two fat ladies in the middle of the floor. Boom, boom,
Ashton Gardner and Dyke. Yeah.
And the guy was on then. The next guy was on. Boss Skaggs, and he was with the Steve Miller Band for a long time. So those three were on them. We were on first.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Your man said,
Great.
Your man said to me, what way do you want the monitors? I said, we don't use monitors. Yeah. We were the loudest band you ever heard of the film. Like,
and the communal dressing room, then bands were just everybody was in the one room. It was absolutely fantastic to meet all
Frank
these
was sitting
people.
on the sofa there.
Yeah, holding court.
Yeah, trying to keep us apart, which he was.
Of course he was.
But yeah, but we were lawyers, we didn't care either.
He was way ahead of the posse at that time. Too far ahead actually.
Well.
But there you go.
The hot rats.
Great times.
So we done everything now, and next thing you know, after this that year we went back in Dublin. None of us have any money.
That's right. I remember having the selfie gear just to get the boat fare home. Couldn't afford to fly. Yeah. Got the boat fare back home. Yeah, that particular time when sort of things disintegrated, when it was very, very sad.
When Gary, when Gary left the band, we found we couldn't replace him, even though Paul Chapman was a great guitar player.
Superb.
We didn't live anywhere. We didn't have any money. We didn't have the energy to go. The numbers were so intricate.
Yeah.
That it was impossible to go over them again.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then we couldn't write anything new. And Paul done his best, and he went on to play with Lone Star and UFO. A great lad. But there's nothing we could do now. That was it. We couldn't replace Gary, and as he said himself, he couldn't replace us. He went on. He'd done the 2 guitar thing, then he tried the heavy metal thing. Didn't suit him at all. He was blessed. He went back in with Phil, and then he found the blues, and he went great. We came back. We done whatever we had to do to make a living.
Yeah.
Because there was we were fallen heroes, and then we wound up the 2 of us in the bag it in after touring the world, and 16 people.
Well, if you remember properly now, Brian, the first week nobody turned up, and the barman took pity on us and gave us a fiver between us. You remember that?
We were at that, we played with the Oman Brothers. We were over in the Fairmont West.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Which is very funny because Audrey was giving one of the young lads a lesson down in the shed. She plays the drums, as you know, and she was giving a lesson to one of the lads, and I went down to see her about something, and I just said to the young, I says, I'm up here listening to Ginger Baker. And he says, who? I says, Ginger Baker, the Cream. Who? Can you get them on YouTube? I says, God, like how things have changed. Like that's what we were sort of brought up on, all the blues and John Mayall, which brings us back to the Wimpy Bar in Doors, actually. The Blues Breakers.
When we're talking about the name now, that's how
how the name originated. Yeah. And did you tell?
No, basically what happened now was, we had the blues, we were all trying to think of names.
Yeah.
And we were looking at the back of the Blues Breakers, and the saxophone player, his name was Alan Skidmore.
Alan Skidmore, that's right.
So we go for Skid Row, Tess says, I don't think that's great, your father's moustache is better, but that's how the name came around now.
I think he was outvoted on that one.
Yeah,
that's how the name came around, and that's really all you're looking for with this thing here, Brennan. All you're looking for is a bit of, just give me the truth. All we want is the truth, as John Lennon
that's
said.
Right, yeah. All we're saying that Bon Jovi, and if you're looking in, John, Noel was asking about you. We like you a lot. You just have to admit that we might be just slightly better than you were, So all I'm saying is, get in touch, John. Give us a ring,
Yeah.
We'd love to hear you.
A small explanation, John. You can see that photograph there that we toured around with Skid Row. We hold the record for the National Stadium, which at the time was the biggest venue in Dublin. We hold the record ourselves and the Dubliners. I'm sure you've heard of the Dubliners, a great ballad group. We also filled the Ulster Hall in Belfast, which at the time was the biggest venue in Belfast. We filled that twice on the one night. So we are very, very well known over here. And I'm sure that before Brush is finished here with this program, there's going to be thousands and thousands of people coming out saying, yeah, they were the original Skid Row. How come what happened? How come we sort of get lost in the wilderness? And you take...
They've done very well out of our name now. We made no money. We're not looking for money, obviously. What we're looking for is respect. That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
That's all we're looking for. It's terrible to think that Noel and myself done all these things, and somebody would take our name, know that we're alive, and say, we're so big, we can walk all over those guys, They're over in Ireland, they won't be able to contact us. But in the last 25 years, the world has changed now.
Exactly.
We have the internet.
Now we have resources.
Yeah. We can just talk like this here today. And obviously I'm home to get a new kitchen out. And we'd like some of the comments I'm laughing about. I just have to say, no, the guy that says to Sebastian, if I was you, I'd do this, and then you can keep the name off that guy does. You know, like, you can't buy that sort of stuff. We love that now, don't we? We love all that. So what we're saying is, we're still out here. We're still alive. All we're asking for is a bit of respect.
That's all. Bit of recognition, bit of respect. We're not thinking of our bank balance. No. I never did. Like, the reason we got into this game in the first place, we weren't thinking about our bank balance. It was a love of music and a love of adventure. Like, we were able to tour around Sweden in the back of a van. We slept in the back of a van. Yeah. And by God, having to get out at 4 o'clock in the morning, we had to run around the van to get warm. It was so cold. You know what?
It was cold though.
Like, and we had people that were there with us. We'd have Frank Murray, Ted Carroll, Paul Scully. Yeah. And then all the great musicians that we were lucky enough to play with after. You've mentioned them all, I'm sure.
I've mentioned all the lads. We'll be talking about Dave Boy, he's a grand lad, he's over in Luxembourg. And we're not forgetting about Downey Devlin, who looked after the brass section for us and played keyboards as well.
That's right.
We got all the lads will be in to talk to us at different times. So all we're saying is, like, we love life, and we love the music, and we're still out there playing, and we're still doing something. And we as Otis said, everybody needs a little RESPECT, and we didn't get it, and we're annoyed about it, and this is not going to stop no matter what happens till John Bon Jovi and the boys come out and do an acknowledgement on us. We want it on all the websites now, we want it on all the heavy metal magazines, we want everybody to know that we were there, and we're still here, and we will be here,
and we're not going away.
Lovely.
I think that'll do it. That was great.
Thanks, Noel. Good music, not great.